Readers, I am so excited to be starting a new unit with you. Our new unit is going to be about expository nonfiction. Whoa, that's a mouthful. Can you try to say it with me a couple times? Let's say it together. Expository nonfiction. Expository nonfiction. Great job. So I want us to take a second to think about that genre. Have you ever heard of it before? Have you ever heard of expository nonfiction? Does it sound familiar? Have you heard the word expository before? Have you heard the word nonfiction before? Take a second and think about these words. Think if you've heard them before, what they remind you of. Take a second and pause the video if you would like to. Okay, readers, thank you for taking some time to think about what our next unit is about, expository nonfiction. It's okay if this doesn't sound familiar to you because we're going to be learning all about it in this unit. And I think that you're going to realize after our book today that you actually do recognize it and that you have read some expository nonfiction books before. The most important thing about expository nonfiction, if I were to sum it up, give it one quick sentence about what it's about, expository nonfiction are books that the authors write to help teach us about something. So the intention, the big idea of the book is to teach the reader something about the topic. Ms. Holt and I have been talking about expository nonfiction a lot, and we've been talking about how cool we think it is. And we have been talking about how we both learned so much from expository nonfiction. So that's why we are so excited for you to be learning about it also. So if you look, I have assigned you a book collection on Epic, and it is an expository nonfiction collection, and it is about Oregon's flora and fauna. Have you ever heard that before? Flora and fauna? So what that means is flora is plants and fauna is animals. So what it's about is the plants and animals that are in Oregon. And we are going to be reading expository nonfiction books about flora and fauna, plants and animals that could be in our own backyards, or in my case, outside of my apartment. So today I'm going to be reading you an example of an expository nonfiction book, and it is called Baby Animals in the City. So if you see here, I've got two screens going on right now. And what I have in this screen, I have my reader's notebook and something to write with. So I want you to go ahead and make sure that you have both of those things too. If you don't have them, pause the video now and go grab them. All right, so as we have been learning, I'm going to turn to the next blank page in my reader's notebook, and I am going to give it a title. I'm going to title it the name of the book for today. Then that way, whenever I'm growing through all of my reader's notebook pages, whenever I come back to it, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the book that I got that information from. So this one is called Baby Animals in the City. So I'm going to write that nice and big up top. We've been learning about titles. So this is going to be my title, and the way that I like to do titles is I like to write it first in nice big letters, and then I like to go in and put something cool around it to show me that it's the title. So something I really like to do is make it into a cloud. And I like to turn it, if you put 3 dots like that, it turns it into a thought bubble. So there's Baby Animals in the City. So as I read this book to you, I want you to think about 2 things. The first thing I want you to think about is I want you to look at every page, and I want you to think about how it looks and think if you've read any books that look like that before. So that's the first thing. The first thing is you're going to look at the page and think about if you have seen a book that looks like that before. The second thing I want you to look for are surprising facts. Just like we've been doing with our other read alouds, we're going to be putting our surprising facts in our reader's notebook, and we're going to be sketchnoting those. So I'm going to do a little bit of that, but most of that I want you to do on your own and come up with your own sketch notes, because you are all becoming sketchnoting experts, and sketchnote them on your page that you have titled Baby Animals in the City, the name of our book. So 2 things again, remind yourself of them again. What's the first thing? First thing we're looking for? We're going to look at the pages and see if they look familiar. And what's the second thing? We're looking for surprising or new facts to put in our reader's notebook. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay, got that all set up. So this is our book right here, and I am reading it on Epic, and this is one that you also will have in the Epic collection that I've assigned to you if you want to go and read it later. So as we open it, you see right here that it has a description that says a city is not just a habitat for people, it's a home for animals too. Recognize animals living in cities like raccoons and birds. So I want you also to take a second to look at this that says what is in this book. And I want you to go back to our first question that we're going to think about today. Have you ever seen a page that looks like that before? Does it look familiar to you? Have you ever seen a book with a page like this? Okay, let's get started. Losing their habitats. A habitat is a place in nature. Plants and animals live in habitats. Many kinds of wild animals have lost their habitats because people have built cities on lands where the animals once lived. Some animals have become endangered, which means they are in danger of dying out in the wild. The wild is a natural area where people do not live. And by the photo, it says, much of the forest where this mother fox and her kits lived has been cut down. This fox family will have to find a new place to live. Will it be in a city? Moving into cities. Some kinds of animals adapt or adjust easily to living near humans. Animals that have adapted to living in urban environments or cities include squirrels, chipmunks, rats and mice, foxes, coyotes, raccoons, skunks, and many kinds of birds. As cities grow bigger and take up more land, animals that are forced out of their natural habitats move into the cities to find food. Living in cities often causes problems for both animals and humans. The caption says, many squirrels and chipmunks find food easily in city parks and people's backyards. Do you have squirrels or chipmunks living near you? Okay, there was tons of information on the page. Remember how expository nonfiction explains things and teaches us? I feel like this page taught me so many things, so I'm definitely going to make a sketch note here. You can sketch note something similar to what I'm doing, or you can do your own. So I am going to draw a picture of a tree. And remember, these are sketch notes, so we're just doing them nice and quick, and we're going to use labels to help us. So I have a tree right there. It's a little blurry, but I'll show you again at the end. So that's a tree. And then I'm going to draw a little animal. What am I going to draw? I'm going to draw a little squirrel. Here's the tail. So I am going to also draw some buildings to represent the city. Put some windows on them so that you can tell they're buildings. I'm going to label my little squirrel. I'm going to put animal. And I'm going to label this the city. But later I'm going to want to remember why I drew this. So I'm going to say, I'm going to cross out the tree, and then I'm going to put the squirrel going into the city. And then I'm going to write myself a little caption right here so I remember why I drew this. So I will say, when animals' habitats in the wild are destroyed, they move to cities. So I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see that nice and big. So that's what I drew. I drew a tree and crossed it off and a little squirrel going into the city. And I wrote the caption, when animals' habitats in the wild are destroyed, they move to cities. I feel like that was really the big idea of the page for me, that my big surprise, my big takeaway. So that's why I made a sketch note about it. So maybe you did a sketch note about the same thing, or you did a different sketch note because you learned something different from the page. So I'm going to go ahead and keep reading, and I want you to keep remembering to sketch note and keep adding things to your journal. Remember, we have 2 sides. So if you filled up the page like I did, there's a whole nother page to add to. Baby animals in cities. They're so cute. Who agrees? They're so cute. The baby animals on these pages are a few of the animals that live in cities. Some have lost their habitats. Others live in city parks, ponds, backyards, or in people's homes. Which of these baby animals live near you? We're going to be learning more about that. Which animals live near us as we read. Food and water. Animals and their babies need water to survive or stay alive. In most cities, they can find water to drink in ponds, rivers, lakes, puddles, and even in swimming pools. What else do animals need? And the caption says, these ducks find plenty of water in a city pond. They also find food to eat in the water and in the park around the pond. What kind of food? Animals need food. Some city animals are herbivores, or animals that eat mainly plants. Some are carnivores, which eat other animals. Animals that eat both plants and other animals are called omnivores. So I feel like is really good information, and that's probably something that I would add to my sketch note over here. If you didn't know that, or you thought that that was surprising, that might be something that you want to add over here. It says, this opossum Joey is about to eat, and Joey is a baby possum, is about to eat some flowers in someone's yard. Opossums also eat insects, worms, eggs, frogs, and dead animals. Almost any food will do. Omnivores have the best chance of surviving in cities because they're not fussy eaters. Skunks, squirrels, foxes, raccoons, chipmunks, and opossums are omnivores. Did that surprise anybody? That surprised me. I didn't know that squirrels were omnivores. I thought that they only ate nuts and plants. So that's a surprising fact to me. That might be something that you want to add here. Many are also scavengers. Scavengers eat any kind of food they find, including dead animals and garbage. So I would write that here. I'm going to write, and I wasn't sure how to spell herbivores, so I looked back to remember how to write these words. So I'm writing on mine herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and scavengers because I want to remember that later. So I'm going to put the herbivores eat plants and then draw a cute little flower next to it. And then I'm going to put carnivores eat animals. I'm going to draw a little animal next to it. And then I'm going to put omnivores, and then I'm just going to draw my picture from before. Plants and animals. And then scavengers, it says they eat dead animals and garbage. So I'm going to write that too. Let's keep going. Where do they live? Animals need food and water, but they also need shelter. Shelter protects them from bad weather and keeps their babies safe from predators. Predators hunt and eat other animals, especially baby animals. So that tells me that the carnivores that I wrote about earlier, that they are predators because they eat other animals. Cities have parks and other natural areas where some animals find shelter. Other animals find shelter in people's backyards or even in their homes. Skunks often live under people's decks or garages. This skunk family has found shelter in a backyard toy house. Most cities have trees, and where there are trees, there are squirrels. The mother of these squirrel pups keeps her babies safe in a high nest up in the tree hole. An opossum Joey and a raccoon kitten meet on the porch of a home. They both live in the same backyard. Will they get along? Pets in the city. Many city people keep animals as pets. Puppies and kittens are favorite pets. Other pets include hamsters, guinea pigs, mice, rats, bunny rabbits, and parrots. Who has one of those? People take care of their pets by feeding them, grooming, or cleaning them, and they make sure that they are healthy. I'll skip through this a little bit, but remember that you have this book in Epic and you can come read it too. Feeding wild animals. Wild animals also live near people in cities. Many kinds of birds live in trees, ponds, or buildings. People enjoy feeding animals such as squirrels, chipmunks, and birds. They especially like feeding baby animals. If you want to look at some examples of people feeding them, you can look right there. Okay. I am going to stop there for right now. But remember that you can go back and read this book in Epic, and you can add to your page if you want to. So make sure that you have something in your sketch notebook. You have the title nice and clear, you have some sketches, and you have some captions too to make sure that you remember what you read. So again, readers, I'm really excited about this expository nonfiction unit and for us to learn all about the flora, the plants, and the fauna, the animals that we can find in our own backyards. So for today, you are going to do a seesaw assignment, and you are going to tell me at least 3 things that you learned or that you thought were surprising from this book. And something that I would be doing if I were doing this assignment is I would be looking back on my sketchnoting and looking at the facts that I wrote down in my sketchnoting to be able to do that seesaw assignment. You are also, the seesaw assignment has 2 pages. The first page is telling me 3 things you learned. The second page is showing me a picture of your reader's notebook from today of your sketchnoting. So make sure that you have done that also. Great job, readers. We'll see you later today. Bye.